Namaste. Hamesha Khush Raho Bitya. I am Jv'n Dr. Lily Trivedi and today I am going to take the lecture of B.Sc Agriculture Second SEM, Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Sciences, and I am going to take for the course of Fundamentals of Crop Physiology, and the topic today is fat metabolism. Now, what is fat metabolism? Now, fat metabolism is the metabolism of foods which are high in fat. And for these, you can see the example given here of cheese, butter, chocolate, butter chicken, nuts, seed, avocado, and fatty meat and fishes. Now, these foods have high amount of fat in them. Now, the process of digestion of dietary lipids in vertebrates is as follows. The fat is ingested in the diet and from the gallbladder. Here, the juices come out, and then here we have the small intestine. The bile salts emulsify the dietary fats in the form of in the small intestine, forming mixed mixtures. Now, what happens here? The intestine lipase degrades the triglycerides. The fatty acids and others break down and are taken by intestinal mucosa and converted to triglycerides. The triglycerides are then incorporated with cholesterol and A-lipoproteins into chylomicrons. The chylomicrons move through the lymphatic system and the bloodstream to the tissues, and the lipoprotein lipase activated by epoxy 3 second in the capillaries convert triglycerides to fatty acids and glycerol, and then these fatty acids enter the cell and the fatty acids oxidize as fuel or re-esterified for storage. So they are stored in the adipocytes or microcytes. So this is the process of digestion. Now let's come to each gram of lipid is capable of giving 9.3 calories of energy. That suggests that 25 to 30% of total calories come from the fat. Metabolism is the total amount of biochemical reactions involving in maintaining the living conditions of the cell in an organism. Now, all organisms require energy for essential processes and producing new organic substances. Now, the metabolic process helps in growth, reproduction, and maintaining the living structures. All chemical reactions occurring in the living organism come from the digestion to transport of substance cell to cell. Now, there are two types of metabolic processes, catabolism and anabolism. Now, what is catabolism? This is involved in breaking down larger molecules into smaller molecules. This metabolic process releases energy. Now, what is anabolism? This process is involved in building up or synthesizing compounds from simpler substances required by the cell. The metabolic process requires energy and stores energy. So metabolism is related to nutrition and existence of nutrients. Now bioenergetics is the description of metabolism as the biochemical pathways through which the cell obtains energy. Now lipid metabolism is the synthesis and degradation of lipids in the cell involving the breakdown or storage of fat for energy and synthesis of the structural and functional lipids, like those which are involved in the construction of cell membrane. In animals, these fats are obtained from food and synthesized by the liver. So lipogenesis is the process of synthesizing the fats. Now, majority of lipids in the human body is as triglycerides and cholesterol. Other types of lipids found in the body are fatty acids and membrane lipids. Lipids are metabolism is considered as digestion and absorption process of the dietary fat. So there are two sources of fats that organism use, that is from the consumed dietary and from the stored fat. Now vertebrates use both the fats for producing energy for which organ such as heart and to function, right? Because lipids are hydrophobic molecules, they have to be solubilized before the metabolism can begin. Now what happens, the lipid metabolism begins with hydrolysis, which occurs with various enzymes in the digestive system. In plants also lipid metabolism occurs, but the process is different when compared to animals. So the second step after hydrolysis is the absorption of fatty acid into the epithelial cell or intestinal wall. So this is about the lipid metabolism in animals. Now, the metabolism of fats, the fat is lipolyzed into glycerol and fatty acid. So glycerol is converted into G3P and again reconverted into glucose or continuing glycolysis. So the fatty acids are long chain hydrocarbons with a carboxyl group at one end. Now they are cleaved into acetyl groups by a process known as beta oxidation. Now this is an aerobic process and the acetyl groups are proceeded aerobic. Now all cells cannot perform beta oxidation. So what happens? The process also yields electron acceptors and the carboxyl groups are known then as ketone bodies and they are slower to be metabolized. And when they accumulate, they cause ketoacidosis. Now this is a life-threatening complication for the diabetics, that is insulin dependent, and fat yields between 8 to 9 kilogram per calorie per kilogram. Now let's study more about detail about beta oxidation. Now this is a metabolic process by which the fat and the lipidic derivatives are broken down. So this process bears significant similarity to which the mechanism by which fatty acids are synthesized. Now it is a reverse type. So oxidation of lipid proceeds as follows. Two carbon fragments are removed sequentially from the carboxyl end of fatty acid. That is after dehydrogenation, hydration and oxidation and to form keto acid. Now this is cleaved by thiolysis and the acetyl molecule is liberated in this process, which is eventually converted into ATP to enter the PCA cycle. Now the series of steps in which beta oxidation can be broken down is, first is activation. So they must be activated. So activation involves the addition of coenzyme A molecule to the end of the long acid fatty chain, after which it is activated. The fatty acid coenzyme A enters the beta oxidation pathway. Now, after this, the second process is oxidation. The initial step of beta oxidation is catalyzed by acyl coenzyme AB hydrogenase. Now, what does it do? It oxidizes the fatty acyl coenzyme molecule to give acyl coenzyme A. As a result, trans double bond is introduced in the acyl chain. The second step is acyl coenzyme A hydratase hydrates the double bond and which was introduced in the previous step to give an alcohol. Now, the third step is oxidation. So, hydroxyl acyl coenzyme A dehydrogenase oxidizes the alcohol formed in the previous step to a carbonyl group. And then comes the cleavage. Now, what is cleavage? The cleavage then cleaves off acetyl coenzyme A from the oxidized molecule, which also yields an acyl coenzyme A, that is 2 carbon shorter than the original molecule. So this cycle repeats until the fatty acid has been completely reduced to acetyl coenzyme A, and which is further fed through the TCA cycle to ultimately give cellular energy in the form of ATP. Now here is a simple, here you can see the fatty acid, hydrolysis, and here is the glycerol, and further how it is entering the TCA cycle. So students, I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. I have taken my work from these references, and if you have any query, do comment in the comment box. I will resolve it soon. Now, this digital session was powered by 2.0 version of Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Namaste.